Vidyafy.
Educate,
support,
Empower.
Everyone. So today we bring you another special edition of our speaker series, and this time we bring you a speaker who is very well-known personality in online education, and she is a social entrepreneur. We always dream to become this thing and that thing, like we always become to start something, but we never take decisions. She has taken her decision in her life, and she is here with us. So welcome, Roshni Mukherjee.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a great pleasure to be with you guys today.
Yeah. So let me introduce a little bit about her. But we know that she has started a social organization which is Exam Fear. So what Exam Fear is do, like they provide you classes and teachings and sessions on different topics and subjects. And also like those sessions are all free of cost to everyone. So it is more like a social organization, and we all glad to have such organization and such initiatives from everyone. And thanks, Roshni. So today, Roshni, we will be asking you a lot of questions regarding your journey, your education, and your organizations, and also what all challenges and difficulties you have faced during your career. And so our main motive behind this is like to inspire all the young individuals who are like us in the corporates, and also the students as well, who wants to become a social entrepreneur, and they require that energy, that inspiration. And so you are the inspiration for all of them today. So let me start. So tell us about a brief about your background, your location, your city, and where do you came from, and what do you do?
So I was basically born and brought up in Dhanbad, which is in Jharkhand. So I did my schooling there. I did my +2, and then I went to Delhi University for doing my graduation and post-graduation. So after completing my studies, I got placed into the IT sector. So I worked with Wipro and then HP for close to 6 years. And this entire journey of free learning platform, that is Exam Fear, started back in 2011. So basically, I was always very passionate about teaching. So I always wanted to teach, but eventually it so happened that after completing my studies, I got into the IT sector. I started working, and like things were going smooth, but I still wanted to teach. And that's when I thought, why not start using YouTube as a platform to teach? Now, back in 2011, YouTube was majorly used by people for, entertainment and music, and not really for learning. So not at all for learning, at least in India. So I thought, why not make use of the same platform to teach children? So that's how I started making a few videos of physics of class 11th and 12th, and I posted them on the YouTube channel. And I was really mesmerized to see that a lot of children were watching them, and they were kind of, putting requests to create more videos on different, subjects and different classes and so on. And that's how that journey of creating online videos started. And somewhere during the same time, I had this interaction with my maid, because during that time I was living in Bangalore. Like since I started working, I was in Bangalore. So I had this interaction with my maid, who was a single mother, and she was from a small village in Tamil Nadu. She had two sons who were learning in a small school in her village. Now this lady would struggle, like she used to work almost in 10 houses just to make some money so that her kids get educated and they have a better life and a better career. Now, she would always be upset with the fact that her kids were not able to clear exams, they do not study. And like with my conversation with her, what I would understand is many a times they do not attend their classes don't happen at all. So overall, they didn't find learning very interesting, and that's where they were struggling. So I think my very frequent interaction with my maid actually made me think that, especially in our country, in India, we have two sets of organization. One where you get quality education, but they are not really affordable for everyone. The other one where you get maybe low cost education or even free education, but then somehow the quality of learning is not that great. So
Mhm.
that, I think that was the time when I decided that why not build a free learning platform. So when I started
Mhm.
making those videos, it was just out of my passion to teach. But I think my
Mhm.
interaction with my maid actually made me take it as a motto to build a free learning platform where I could create some quality educational content and they would be available to children for free. So that was the whole idea when I started this journey in 2011, and I was like super duper motivated. I wouldn't say just with my
Mhm.
thought of building a free learning platform, but it was also because at that point in time, even if I used to get one comment which said that, you know,
Mhm.
ma'am, this was really helpful. I never understood
Right.
this before, and I understood it today. So that one comment would act like a, you know, dose of motivation for me. So I think
Exactly.
that's how this entire journey of exam fear education began. And the journey was so, you know, satisfying, I would say, that
Mhm.
over the years, like I started in 2011, and then till 2014, I was doing it like a part-time thing, like along with my IT job,
Mhm.
I was doing it. So I used
Okay.
to record videos late at night, early in
Mhm.
the morning. Look, sometimes I also used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to record a video. So that used to happen during those
Oh,
days because I had my 9 to 5 IT job.
right.
All weekends were like for creating videos. So that's how I spent till
Mhm.
2014. But then I realized that I was getting good response from students. They were demanding more videos, but I was not able to
Mhm.
give enough time to create more content. And
Uh-huh.
since this was something that I was always passionate about because I loved teaching, and now I was also able to see
Mhm.
some impact on children across the country. So I thought, why not give more time to this and, you know, actually make this a free learning platform. So 2014 I resigned from my job and I started doing this full time, and then obviously
Mhm.
the volume of the videos also increased because now I was creating more videos. So
Mhm.
eventually I could actually create this platform with more than 6500 videos, where we have
Mhm.
class 6 to class 12, maths, physics, chemistry, biology, everything created as per the curriculum, as in the NCRT curriculum, which is followed by the CBSE and most of the state boards in India. So based on that, we have actually created the entire curriculum for 6 to 12, classes 6 to 12, and for
Uh-huh.
physics, chemistry, maths, biology, and even for certain subjects like geography, basic English
Uh-huh.
grammar, science experiments, tips and tricks, and so on. So I
Uh-huh.
think that's how this entire journey happened.
Thanks, thanks. That was actually really very interesting journey. You started from just such a small incident which happened with your maid, and you have brought up such a big platform. So tell us about like how does your typical day work look like? Because earlier you were working for the IT industry. Now being into the organization, taking the full responsibility of the organization, how does your typical day look like in that?
Um, when you talk about a typical day, I think earlier it was more organized. Like when I was having my 9 to 5 job, it was more like 9 o'clock office jana hai, and then you have your fixed schedule. You have a fixed, you know, a specific piece of work to, you know, work on, and then you are back home on time. So once you start working on your own, I think you are no more time bound. So it's like
Right.
we just take tasks that, okay, I need to do this, but there is no
Uh-huh.
timeline. As in, if you finish that task, maybe early, you take up the next one. So it's like
Mhm.
you are always thinking about work. So that's one side of it.
Mhm.
Besides that, I also feel that over the past few months with this entire COVID thing, this entire
Yeah.
lockdown and all of that, where, you know, everybody's working remotely, a lot of things
Mhm.
have not been working for quite some time and things like that. So I
Mhm.
think things have become quite difficult. So now I feel
Mhm.
every day is difficult. Earlier it was like, you know, I often felt that, you know, it's very hectic. It's going very busy.
Mhm.
I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. So that's how I used to think earlier. But these days, over the last 6 to 7 months, what I felt was, it's very rightly said that everything is possible. So over the last
Right.
7 months, to be very honest, I feel that there is no helping hand at home. My little one is at home all the time, and being this entire lockdown thing, all the children are learning online.
Mhm.
So, you know, the demand
Mhm.
for learning content is also quite
Demand
high.
is
And
more.
I think I have been able to produce a lot of content also during
Mhm.
this period.
Mhm.
So this
Mhm.
has been, I think, the most difficult phase of my entire journey on exam fear, because earlier a phase was when I was working part time. So that time it was more like, stretching at night, early mornings. So those were my working hours after the 9 to 5 office. When I resigned from my office, my days would be like, it would be very much like the normal office timing only, where you have that 9 to 7 wala time where when you are working. But yeah, weekends are also mine. So whenever I feel that there is something else which is left out, so I can always take some time on Saturdays or Sundays and finish it up. So that was there. But with this lockdown, these things have become very hectic, and I think I really do not follow a schedule right now. So whenever I have time, I work. So I work
Yeah.
late at night, maybe at 12 o'clock at night. You may see me recording a video, or you may even see me in the afternoon working on a video. So it's like completely haphazard these days. So no specific timeline as such. And I think that's how it happens when you start on your own, because you really
Right.
cannot have those set timings that, okay, I'll work from this time to this time. So if that piece of work demands more time, you eventually end up spending a lot of more time, and without getting exhausted, because this is something that you love to do. So you really do
Right.
not count the hours.
Yeah, exactly. So we can see the passion which you are having right now, and also like we wish that this will go throughout your life and all our lives as well, and you keep on inspiring lots of people. Yeah. So Karandeep, you have some questions regarding career journey. So would you like
Yeah.
to take on?
Yeah. Thank you, Kashish, and thank you, Roshni, for such an amazing answers. So I am more interested in your transition from the corporate life to leaving your corporate life and then finally going into this volunteering organization. And this is like this is not a for-profit job, right? So this is all for the students. So when you left your job, you left a lot of security, you left financial security, you left job security, and then you finally moved to this Exam Fair Foundation. So what propelled you to take that step? Because usually what happens is, like you said, initially you were doing from 2011 to 2014, you were doing it as a part time, and then
Mhm.
you left everything and went to do it full time. So how did you take that step? How did you get that courage that, okay, this is what I want to do? Let's leave the job security. Let's leave the financial security.
Yeah, so as you rightly said, that's really not easy. So when I started in 2011, so that was just out of passion, and I was doing it part time. I was happy with how it was going. Now, eventually, as time passed by, I could actually sense that this doing this work was making me feel more happy, more contented. And as I said, I was not counting
Okay.
hours when I was making videos. I was not getting exhausted while making videos, while compromising with my sleep, right? So that actually somewhere made me feel that this is something that I really wanted to do. And also, the thing which I am doing is actually benefiting somebody on the other side, because the comments that I was getting on my YouTube channel, that they very strongly told me that there were children who were in need of this kind of a content. So I
Okay.
think these two factors together played a role, because of which I could take that drastic step. Having said that,
Okay.
back in 2014, I mean, I was not really sure of the finances, like what would be the revenue model or how will we run the show. I wasn't really sure of, though I was working on this for almost 3 years at that time. But since this really didn't have a proper revenue model as such, because we had a website where we had this, not just the videos which are there on YouTube. Besides that, we also have online tests, ask questions, revision notes,
Okay.
and everything is for free, because the whole idea was a free learning platform, so that the students do not have to pay a single rupee for accessing anything. So though I wasn't sure, but I think I was very much confident on what I wanted to do. So I
Okay.
very strongly felt that this is something I love to do, and this is something is actually benefiting the children on the other side, because 3 years was a good enough time to understand whether the content that I was creating was actually helping the students or not, whether they need it or not, right? So I think with these two factors, and obviously there was a tremendous amount of support from my family, as in my husband. He was also
Okay.
like very much like confident that yeah, you should go for it. Now when you want to go for it and somebody else is also telling you that yeah, you should go for it, so I think that your eagerness to take that step becomes more intense. Now having said that, it wasn't that I just thought that okay, I want to leave the job, or I want to quit and I simply resigned. So it wasn't like that. So I was
Okay.
thinking about it for quite some time. As in, I think I took almost 6 to 7 months to actually put my resignation. So I was thinking that, okay, I think I should resign. I think I should resign. Yes, no, yes, no. So that was going on for quite some time. But then one day I finally decided that if it goes on like this, I'll not be able to give my 100% in any of the things. So that was the time I thought that, okay, let's do it. So, and
Okay.
that's how I think I did it. And I'm happy that I did that.
Yeah. And not just you, I think the thousands of students who watch your videos would be thankful that you took that step. And that's really because this is something which benefits everyone. So my another question is, what I seen through your education, you are not formally taught as a teacher, right? You are not a teacher like for in formal sense of academics, but still your videos are so enlightening. It's very easy to understand because I went through some of the videos like what is the how experiments of physics, and the one I watched was for the resistor. Like it was so easy to do how you understand it. So how does that come? Like do you watch more videos just to see okay, this is the type of content I can put, or those sort of things come naturally to you that you are just a very good teacher, like you naturally a very good teacher.
See, I very truly believe that teaching is simply an art. So you need
Okay.
to have that art of teaching. So it's not just about having a BA degree, or
Okay.
being that having that experience of teaching in a school. So it is more about that art, that knack of teaching. So I have come across a
Okay.
lot of people who are very well qualified. They have a lot of knowledge. They have in-depth
Mhm.
knowledge of a subject, but they lack that art of teaching. Like they are not able to transfer the knowledge that they have to everybody in a very efficient way. So I think the most important quality that a teacher needs is to communicate or to share the knowledge he or she has in the most effective way to the children. So I think
Right.
when I was a student, as in during my college days itself, I used
Mhm.
to get this compliment from a lot of my friends who used to say,
Okay.
like, during the exam time, we would normally do group studies. In fact,
Right.
when I was in my college, my niece, who was also in Delhi, was in school. So sometimes I would help her with her homework. And I used to get this compliment from a lot of them that I used to explain really well. So I think I had that knack to explain things. I had that positive thing to communicate in an effective
Right.
way to others, which helped others understand things. So I think that was there in
Okay.
some way. And also, I think when I was a student in like, I would share an incident when I was in class 11th. So throughout my student life, I have always been quite good with academics. Like I used to be the topper in my school till class 10th. And when I came to class 11th, I suddenly started feeling that physics is so difficult because till 10th,
Okay.
physics used to be quite easy. And suddenly in 11th, you feel that, oh, physics to bada mushkil hai. So I suddenly started feeling that, I'm not getting things, and, I'm not able to solve questions. So I was quite stressed out. And that was my situation for quite some time, like for about 6 to 7 months. And then there was this teacher who brought about a huge transformation. So there was this teacher who had a very different way of teaching. So he used to make physics really fun. He used to make it really easy for me. And I think then I started developing interest in the subject. And then I developed so much of interest in the subject that I did my graduation and post-graduation in physics.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
all I'm trying to say is, I think a teacher really has the power to, bring a lot of transformation in a child. So
Correct.
a child is like the way you mold the child, he would take that shape, right?
Exactly.
So I believe that when it comes to teaching, there are few basic things that needs to be there in the person who is teaching. Like we cannot make things so they already have the textbooks, right? So they have the textbooks. So if
Right.
they can read the textbook and understand everything, and there's no need of teacher at all, correct? So why we exist is because we want to make things simple for them. So I
Correct.
think my whole idea when I teach is I should use simple words so that everybody, irrespective of how the child is, somebody could be a fast
Okay.
learner, somebody could be a slow learner. So you have different type of children, right? So I use simple words so that everybody can understand. I'll try to give a lot of real life examples so that they can actually relate things to what they see in their day to day life. As in,
Right.
when I was a child, I read a lot of things. I memorized a lot of formulae without understanding कि कभी काम आएगा या नहीं. I mean, I really don't know
Correct.
where to use them. But we simply memorize them and solve questions because they come in exams. So in India, normally everybody has that mindset of studying for the fear of exams. They just want to clear exams, get good scores, and get admission in good colleges. So that's the whole thing. So my whole idea was to make learning interesting, make it simple so that
Okay.
children are not afraid of learning. So that's my whole idea. So for example, these days I run some series for especially for the 11th standard students where I try to make maths, physics and chemistry easy and fun for them. So if you look at those videos, they do not make you feel that you really have a very tough topic. So it's like the whole
Okay.
my entire effort goes in making the topic as simple as possible with as many real life examples as possible. So I think these are the few things which I normally focus on when it comes to teaching, and I think that makes me a good teacher.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
Thank you,
Like
Raj.
you, like the way the uniqueness in your videos and also like your passion is truly telling all these things. I would also like to know that because see, I can see your passion and that the way you are teaching, but coming to the organization, when you started this organization in 2014, like when you properly take over as a whole soul organization, you must have brought up some team around it and operationalizes. So what was that impact in your mind, like that I want to start this organization, build a team around it, and also like operationalizes all those strategies, like what was like the understanding behind that? So I would like to know about that.
So to be very honest, it didn't really happen in a very organized way as such. So I was just teaching online, and I was the
Okay.
one woman army during that time when I was
Mhm.
making those online videos. Now initially when I started up, me and my husband also supported me quite a bit in setting up the infrastructure. Like when I started shooting the videos back in 2011.
Mhm.
Now in 2014, when I resigned from my job, even after that, I mean, for a considerable amount of time, it was me alone creating the videos because at that point in time, my whole idea was to create more and more quality content. So that was the whole
Mhm.
idea. But then with time, I realized that there were a lot of other things which were also required, and I alone will not be able to handle everything. And that's when I started, you know, getting few more people to the team. So it didn't really happen like a proper hiring or like a proper
Okay.
it wasn't like that because as I said that we really didn't have some great source of revenues as such because it's everything is like low cost because we do not charge anything from the children. But then eventually with
Right.
time we realized that okay fine, we can enable the ads on the YouTube videos and we can generate some
Mhm.
revenue. So we also started this contribute option on the website so that if anybody
Mhm.
Mhm.
contributes we are able to generate some more revenue. So I think we just took baby steps, and we started hiring a few people. Initially, we hired a few people who were part-timer. So like someone was doing his PhD and, he would like to spare his free time, so creating some content for us. So for example, as I was telling, that it is not just about the videos. Our website has a 5-step learning process where children can ask their doubts, where they can take up online tests, they can revise notes. So I needed somebody to create all those content as well, right? The online test, somebody has to answer the questions. So for all those kind of work, I started taking up people who would work as part-timers. And then with time, gradually, there were a lot of wrong hires as well. Sometimes people used to join, they used to work for maybe 15-20 days, and then they would leave. So all those things were there because I was also doing those things for the first time. So there were a lot of learnings in the initial, I would say the initial 2 years. There were a lot of learnings. Maybe you ended up, for example, I still remember I wanted to get the website designed. So initially you would reach up to some people who would actually, waste a lot of your time, and eventually your website will not be done. So all those things happened. I think everything was a learning. And eventually, gradually, I started getting the right people as part of the team. And I think that's how the entire team building process happened. So it was never like I felt that how to manage the team or things like that, because it happened in a very gradual way, like 2-3 members at a time. So we were like some 2-3 people working together. So that's how it was. And that too, we were all working remotely from our, everybody was working from home. So there was no office space as such. So that's how it all started. And gradually it started taking a proper shape. And when I look at it today, so today we have, other than me, we have another 7 full-time employees. And besides that, there are part-timers, who would just contribute whenever they have free time. So that way. So I think, so the entire model revolves around a very lean team where we do not really have a huge team, a lot of people, small team. But I feel that right now the team that I have is a very effective one where everybody takes up their own responsibility. And that's how we operate.
Yeah, that's good to know, how your organization is operating. So tell us about, as I heard that initially when you were able to get to even one of the comment in your videos, you were you got so happy and you feel like, okay, I have done my job. And so how this definition of the success in your life changed when you started this organization, and now how do you feel like the definition of the success in your life?
So I think right from day one till today, the main driving force has always been the feedback from the students. So that has been the main driving force always. So again, right from day one till today, the first thing that I do every morning when I start working is reading out a few comments that I get on the videos. So now we get so many comments, so it's not practically possible to read out all the comments, but at least I'll make sure that I'll read out a few comments so that, I get to know that, what the children are telling about the content that we are creating. And I think they motivate me the most to continue the working in the same line. So in fact, while I was talking about the comments that I received during the initial days, so one comment that stayed very close to my heart. In fact, that was one of the comments which I received in the first few days of my upload in 2011, where a child said that what you could explain in 10 minutes, my teacher could not do in a week. And I was always like jumping, because for me at that point in time, I was just doing that out of my passion. So when somebody told that, I actually felt that, okay, something that I was doing was actually being liked so much by the students on the other side. So I think, yes, the comments, they play a very, very huge role. And now that it has been almost 9 years that I have been making free educational content and we are building this free learning platform, we have also got huge number of success stories in this entire journey. So for example, in 2017, we heard from Deepal Jain, who was the Madhya Pradesh entire state board bio topper. So she said that she never went for any tuition or coaching, and she completely relied on our videos, and she was the state board topper. So that was like a huge achievement for us. So she was interviewed by different media like Times of India and all, and she talked about us that she learned from our videos. In fact, I heard it from a child who was from a rural area in Karnataka, and he said that his sister was trying really hard to get a seat in a medical college for quite some time. And with the help of our videos, she could get a seat in a medical college. She could crack her MBBS entrance exams. So when you get these kind of stories, in fact, we have another student who learned from our content, and it was such that I knew that child because he was watching our physics videos and following them while he was in his 11th and 12th, and he was the Comet K topper of 2018. So over the years, since we have been in the industry for such a long time now, so we have actually come across a lot of success stories, and I think these success stories become more important when we get to hear them from small towns and villages, because there a lot of them do not really have access to good quality education. In fact, a little girl once wrote to me that she used to stay in a village, and being a girl child, she was not allowed to travel long distance to reach out to a tuition. So she said that I always struggled with maths because there was nobody at my home who could help me with maths, and there was no teacher nearby as well. So she said, thank you so much, ma'am, you gave me a pocket tutor, because now I was learning maths on my mobile phone. So these kind of these so they are my success stories, because when these children who earlier didn't have access to quality education, now they have access to it, and that's how they get equal opportunity, where they can also stand on the same lines as others. So I think, so I think they are my biggest gifts over the last so many years.
That's very good to hear, Roshni, and you're very right. Initially, it would be just comments which kept you motivated, but seeing the impact now, that's much more like you would get daily inspiration that I have to do something more. So I would like you to take you back to few, like now you have 6,500 videos, you have a solid fan following, people know about you, students know about you. But when you would have just started, like you posted 10 or 15 videos, and you wanted those videos to reach to students. So how do you strategize that part? How did you make sure that students view these videos, they are aware that there are these videos which they can use and be more proficient in their academics?
See, to be very honest, again, when I started, it was just out of, I mean, I was not having that, such a long vision that, I have to reach out to so many children and things like that. So when I uploaded the first 10 or 15 videos, it was, so the effort that I was putting in was majorly on the kind of content that I was creating. So my entire focus was only on the quality of the content, and it was less on the reach of the content. So that's how it was during those days. So initially, when I uploaded the first few videos, at least the first 3 or 4 videos, I tried to promote it in my friends and family's network, sharing that, I have started creating this content and so on. But that really doesn't help so much, because for the kind of content that I was creating, I needed a very specific target audience. For example, I was creating class 11th physics videos. Now, no matter how much ever I share it with my friends or family, if he or she is not a student of class 11th, he would not be interested in that video in any way. Right. So I don't think that helped a lot, but yes, that at least helped me to get some genuine feedback in the initial days, like when some of my friends or family members watched them, so they shared some feedback like how the video was and things like that. But what I felt was, at least for me, during those days, as I said, that learning on YouTube was a very unique thing. It was a very rare thing, rather. So in India, we just had a handful of creators creators or even companies who were creating learning content on YouTube. So it was something, so in a way, we were like the first movers who were creating learning content on YouTube. So I think the entire promotion during the first few years, not just months, I would say the first 1 to 2 years, the entire promotion happened just by word of mouth. So there were students who were watching the content, they were liking it, they were telling it to their friends, And that's how the content was getting promoted in the initial days. In fact, we also got to hear this from a lot of students who said that the content is very good, but I'm so sorry, I'll not be able to share it with friends, because if they watch it, they'll also know about it. So they'll also start watching the content. So even that happened. So even we heard that comment also from quite a few students, because in India, we have that competitive environment, right? Even inside the
Right.
classroom. So yeah, that was also there. But yes, even initially it was all by the word of mouth, and that's how it got promoted.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Roshni.
So, Roshni, I would like to also ask you, like, when you bring in that unique concepts and the innovations or that value additions which you bring in your videos, or maybe like in future you are planning to provide some kind of a new feature to the new education or new things for the students. So, what is the basic idea behind defining those new concepts or the innovations or whatever the value addition, whether you are taking any feedback from the students or what is your approach on defining that?
So majorly, a lot of things is feedback driven. In fact, I would say most of the things are feedback driven, like what they want. So
Mhm.
that is that's the area where we also want to put in our efforts. For example, initially when I started, my idea was to
Mhm.
build a free learning platform. So I just wanted to create
Okay.
all the content for 6 to 12. So I was just following that. I would say that was the protocol that I wanted to
Uh-huh.
create. Okay, 11th, then 12th, then 9th, 10th, 8th, and so on. But then
Uh-huh.
eventually, what next? Because eventually I'll
Right.
complete making all the videos for 6 to 12 for maths and science. So what next? So now whenever I have to decide that what is the next series that I'm going to pick up, it is
Mhm.
majorly the student feedback that matters. So mostly I
Right.
would create a poll asking the students, like, what do you want for the
Mhm.
next
Okay.
series? So based on the kind of requests that I receive from them, I would start the next
Mhm.
series. So generally that's the thing that we follow. Now, when it comes to innovation, that is majorly on us, because
Mhm.
so for us, it's very simple. I feel that I am the only one who is creating the content which is coming up on the platform.
Mhm.
Right? So for
Mhm.
me, it's very simple that I just want every content to be better than the previous content. So every series that I release
Right.
has to be better than the previous series that I released. So for example,
Mhm.
right now I am running class 11th series for
Mhm.
physics, chemistry, and maths. Now, I have already created, before we had already created class 11th physics series
Uh-huh.
in back in 2012. But now when you
Okay.
look at these two series, you would actually see a lot of difference, because with
Mhm.
time we are also learning new techniques. We are also getting new ideas on how could we explain the same concept in a better way, right?
Mhm.
So I think for me, so one basic thing that I very strongly follow is I need
Mhm.
to be the best version of myself. So it's
Right.
like I need to learn every day, I need to improve upon every day. So I think that is where
Mhm.
the innovation in the teaching techniques comes in. And when it comes to introducing something new, like some new series or some new topics or things
Mhm.
like that, so there I think students feedback play a role. So on that regards, I would also like to share that earlier we were simply a free learning platform where we used to create
Mhm.
videos and notes and ask questions and all of that. Now, very recently, in fact, in the beginning of this year, 2020, we
Mhm.
actually changed the name of Examfear Education. So we changed it to Learno Hub. So why
Okay.
we did that shift was again because of the feedback that we received from a lot of students and also from a lot of well-wishers who often told us
Mhm.
that why did you name it Exam Fear? Because the name itself has some negativity, because it talks about fear. So
Mhm.
even in fact, many students told us, "Ki, ma'am, why Exam Fear? You should call it Exam Dear." So, so
That's
we
right.
used to get many sort of feedback around the name. So we thought that it would be a good idea to change it to a more neutral name. And also we
Mhm.
felt that, our focus was not never exams. So we always said exam fear, no more fear from exams. So our whole
Mhm.
idea was do not study for the fear of exams, study because you enjoy learning. Because once you
Right.
start learning in the real way, you will anyway score well in your exam. So that was the whole motto. So now we made it Learno Hub because we felt that
Mhm.
learning is our core, where our entire focus is on learning and not on exams.
Right.
And We also did a big change, which is earlier we had just one YouTube channel, which was Exam Fear Education, where we used to put all the content from classes 6 to 12. Now we got this feedback from a lot of students that they were finding it very difficult to, find out a particular video, because there are, let's say, 6,000 plus videos on one channel. So getting discoverability was an issue for a lot of students. So what we did was we have segregated it into 3 different YouTube channels, like LearnoHub Class 6, 7, 8, LearnoHub 9, 10th, and LearnoHub 11, 12. So that now they know that, where they need to go. If a child is in class 8, he can just focus on LearnoHub Class 6, 7, 8. So searching his video becomes easy for him. So I think whenever we take a big decision or a big step, we consider the feedback that we get from the students, not just students, because our viewers are not just students. They are students, they're teachers, they are parents. So I think the kind of feedback that we receive from them, that plays a very, very critical role when it comes to taking the next step.
Sure, definitely. That was such a nice vision and a nice point, like which our organization is following. Feedback is very important. So one of my next question is like, when you try to expand your reach and you know that like you have to collaborate with this stakeholder, you have to collaborate with the other organization. So how is the approach of Exam Fear or your that you wanted to collaborate with the stakeholders? Which area do you focus at, and also like what was the strategy behind this, the collaborations part basically?
So when it comes to collaboration, since we have been creating free content, so our aim has always been that it should be able to reach out to more and more students so that they get to know about it. Now, I still remember it so happened that back in 2015, once we went to our hometown in Dhanbad, Jharkhand, and it so happened that I eventually visited a few schools, and I asked the children, how many of you learn online? So very few of them would raise their hands. How many of you know about examfear.com? Very few of them would raise their hands. So that made me think that, even though we have been creating such wonderful content on the platform, but it is also important that children get to know about it, because if they do not know about it, then there's no point, right? So we have actually, over the years, we have collaborated with a lot of organizations, and where we would actually give our content. For example, the Government of India initiative, which is Diksha. So they kind of help the teachers and the students, especially in the government schools, with educational content. So we are their content partner. So we provide them the content. In fact, we were also approached by the CBSE board chairman, because they wanted to build a online learning platform called DigiShiksha. So there also they signed us up as their content partner. So we are also content partner with IIT Kharagpur's initiative on this digital library. So we actually partner with a lot of organizations where we are their content partner. We provide our content, and then those organizations reach out to a lot of children. And most of these organizations work for the underprivileged children, as in the children in the government schools or in the rural areas or the underprivileged schools. In fact, we have partnered with a lot of NGOs who would provide free education to the underprivileged children. Like they have free schools or they have low cost schools. So we actually partner with a lot of such organizations. Besides that, last year, in fact, in 2017, we received a lot of requests from students, especially from the small towns and remote areas, saying that they were having difficulty to learn online on a regular basis because they do not really have very good internet connection. So we started thinking what we could do about it, and then eventually we launched our low-cost pen drives. So what we do is the content that is there on YouTube, we provide the same content in the form of a pen drive with an OTG connector, so that they can use it on their basic smartphones. Also, they can use it, or even if they have a television with a USB port, they can use it there and they can learn. So what we did was we made it a super duper low cost pen drive, as in 1,000 rupees for a pen drive, which consists of the entire curriculum for that particular class, like class 6, physics, chemistry, maths, biology, entire syllabus in one pen drive.
Okay.
And we actually partnered with a lot of our partner NGOs and distributed
Mhm.
these low-cost pen drives for free in the underprivileged schools, where we have free schools or these government schools set up. So we distributed these pen drives for free so that the children can study at home, like free of cost.
That's really great initiative you guys have done. Yeah.
Thank you, Roshni. And for the last question, it's about the future. So from 2011 to 2014, you were working part time. From 2014 to 2020, you're working full time. So it's almost 9 years you are with Learno Hub, and you had a vision. But what's your vision for next 10 years? Where do you see yourself and your organization?
So I think my vision would not really come in terms of how big the organization would be, but the vision would
Mhm.
come in terms of how many more children will we impact. So
Wow.
basically, over the last so many years, I have actually seen so many children from different cities and towns writing to us, sharing their success stories that they did something good in life. So I think my vision for the next 10 years would be that if no child, no matter where he or she is, whether he or she
Mhm.
is from a small town or a village or a rural area, whether he is going to a government school or a private school, no child should ever complain that they do not get access to quality learning resources. So I think that would be
Right.
my goal. And even if I am able to achieve, say, 20 or 30% of it, I think I would
Mhm.
be able to cover a lot of children across the country.
Right.
So I think the whole motto would be everybody should get access to quality education.
Thank you, Roshni. You are very inspirational. I am just so happy that we were able to talk to you and collaborate with you. And we wish you all the very best for all your future endeavors. And it's just very inspirational. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much, Roshni. So just to close up, I would like to tell all our viewers that if you guys have any questions from Vidyafy or from Exam Fear, do write to us on info.org, info@vidyafy.org, and definitely we will write you back. And thank you so much, Roshni, for such an inspirational session, and thank you for being part of this session.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Roshni. Thank you.